Charlie Kirk is dead. Now, I'm not going to tell you who Charlie Kirk was or how it happened or even bother editing this video because it's not really for entertainment purposes. I already assume that you're up to date with all the recent developments, so I just want to talk about the state of the political climate right now and the implications of Charlie Kirk's assassination. Now, it's no secret that the left is the primary enemy of free speech and civil discourse. They're the ones admitting that they're discriminating people based on politics. They're also admitting that they're willing to use violence to get their way, and they're actually doing violence and censorship to prevent others from speaking. And what happened yesterday on September 10th was just one incident in this occurring and well-documented pattern. Now, Charlie Kirk was no radical. He was a down-the-middle Republican, and originally he was very moderate, although post-2021 he has been shifting rightwards, and whether that's because the political climate has changed and he's become more outspoken, whether he had a post-BLM awakening like many of us, or whether he started competing with Groypers for the same audience, unfortunately we will never know. But what we know is that his views were within the bounds of the Republican Party. He was, in some sense, the definition of the Republican Party and of the changing Republican establishment that is open to questions about Israel. He was soft-spoken, friendly, and was willing to have a dialogue with everybody, which is why he would go to hostile campuses and offer people to debate him. He was the original debate me bro, you could say. But sadly, yesterday he was murdered for doing precisely that, for trying to foster some dialogue with people who disagreed with him politically. And immediately after Kirk's assassination, some leftists have started cheering, celebrating, singing songs, and of course calling for violence against even more people. Because murdering Charlie is not enough. You got to get them all. The other half has simply mocked Charlie's assassination without calling for violence, implying there is a big line of demarcation. There were also a sizable amount of leftists who denounced the attack and called for restraint, called for moderation, and I salute them for doing that. Even if I disagree with them politically, they are my friends and we only disagree politically. But today we will not be talking about this section of the left. We will instead be talking about the other section of the left, the growing younger half, which is replacing those who speak up against political violence, the old liberals, social democrats within the left's coalition. And what you're about to see, they're not going to be isolated nutcases that are totally unrepresentative of the left as a whole, because these tweets are getting insane clout. They are totally dominating Blue Sky, Reddit, and even many spaces on X. And they are, representative, unfortunately, of a plurality, if not the majority, of leftists online. They are passive-aggressive, dismissive, mocking, and most importantly, they're very vicious. I won't read you all of the examples, but there's plenty to look at if you go around leftist spaces. You don't even have to search for it specifically, as it's pretty much trending everywhere right now. And furthermore, if you believe that it's just the internet, you can go around asking random people on the street, preferably near campuses, and as it turns out, a good portion of them supports it.
Charlie Kirk got shot and killed. How do you feel?
Happy. Goodbye.
Wow. Did you see that Charlie Kirk just got shot and killed?
That's good.
Wow, that's good. That's good that people are getting shot just off a political view?
Charlie Kirk gets shot and killed today. We're just getting people's opinions. How do you feel about that?
Girl, someone had to do it. And that's how I feel at this point in time. But
I appreciate your honesty. I truly do. So you said someone had to do it.
yes.
Try not to get all pulled up into that, but he was a misogynist. He was a disgusting person with disgusting beliefs.
So if you had a magical wand, a magical button that you could press and keep him from being assassinated, would you press that?
No. I think things happen for a purpose. And if that's how his life was ended, then that's how it was ended, so.
Do you know who Charlie Kirk is?
Yeah, he's a who she. I'm like, yeah, he's an you know. I wouldn't wish it to anyone, but I don't think he's politically so correct, you know.
We're gonna step away from this.
Do you support his death?
I do.
You support his death?
Fuck Charlie Kirk.
You support Charlie Kirk being killed?
Yes, I do.
On the day he died, you're here at a vigil for Charlie Kirk and you support his death.
Do you support a Nazi?
No, I don't support a Nazi. Charlie Kirk wasn't a Nazi.
you
Supported.
don't have followers.
You support his shooter?
Yep, sure do. It's freedom.
You support Charlie Kirk's
Sure
shooter?
do. He does all a favor.
Would you shoot somebody like Charlie Kirk?
I would have killed him myself.
You would have killed him yourself. Okay. Do you have a job here in Seattle?
Nope. I take that for a living.
A recent poll showed that 77% of Republicans believe it is always unacceptable to feel joy at the death of someone they oppose, while 38% of Democrats share the same view, meaning this is not really both sides. For the people who will be making this sorts of argument, this is specifically a left-wing issue, and arguably a lot of leftists doesn't like that their side is literally hunting down baby Hitlers. To quote Sean Head, "For the first time in a decade, I truly do not want to be grouped with these people. It is now very clear that we live in a completely different realities with different morals. From the insane, bizarre reaction to the murder of an innocent woman on a train, reflexively getting madder about people being mad about it than the actual murder, dismissing people's very real concerns about dying, decaying society, to, well, that's just living in a city, chud. Car accidents are more common," to celebrating the gruesome murder of a husband, father, just a guy, for the crime of not being a liberal, not believing in the current thing. It is clear how they reacted about Charlie is how they would react about me, my friends, my family, any of you, your friends, your family, that have ever stepped out of line of the nebulous, ever-changing definition of progressive. Anyone who has ever been called a Nazi for the stupidest shit in the last 10 plus years. So if you're a moderate liberal or just a decent person like Sean Head is, but you still want to identify with the left and disavow what happened, many people on the left would actually go as far to accuse you of being a weakling and a cock for doing that.
Anybody on the left that does any sort of disavowal, whatever bullshit, I think is cucked and weak. I saw Newsom doing it earlier.
Speaking of Destiny, he has been normalized on some segments of the right because of his support for Israel. He sat down with Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, and many other rightists. But if any of them died as a result of some leftist lunatic, Destiny would likewise not disavow their assassin because that would be weak and cocked.
Fuck it. Fuck the dude, the firefighter guy. Fuck Trump. Fuck the people that support him. I just want you to know, okay? Just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away or whatever the fuck, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am, 100%.
I mean, I got to say, I just found that repulsive, Destiny. Yeah,
I wish that there is no room. There is no room for the hand wringing, and I will not participate in this anymore.
Oh, it's not hand wringing.
In the hand wringing. No, it absolutely is.
No, it's just that you are positioning yourself.
So well.
And you want to remember that to many leftists, there is no functional difference between, let's say, Nick Fuentes, who has also survived an assassination attempt, somebody more extreme, and Charlie Kirk, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, or even you, baby Hitler. In another poll, it was revealed that 50% of leftists think that there are justifications for Elon Musk's murder, and 56% of them believe that there are justifications for Donald Trump's murder. And as we all know, these aren't just words. Tesla owners have gotten their cars set on fire, damaged, while Trump had survived multiple assassination attempts. So even if you aren't necessarily political like the United Healthcare CEO, 41% of Zoomers think that killing you is fine if it's done by Luigi Mangione. In contrast, just 8% of older people have thought the same. Also, the man is like a sex symbol, sort of like Elliot Rodger but on the left. And unlike Elliot Rodger, is actually embraced and celebrated by the left, just like their favorite Che Guevara, who is also idealized. Another good proxy for these attitudes is the support of Hamas, not of Palestine, of Hamas. For instance, 36% of Zoomers thought it was a moral obligation for Hamas to attack Israel on October 7th. In contrast, less than 9% of boomers thought the same. Now, I speak up against the genocide that Israel is carrying out, but let's not idealize Hamas here. Both can be true at the same time. Israel is evil and committing a genocide, and that Hamas is also a terrorist organization that is partially responsible for all of this. We don't have to be low IQ bipartisans to pick sides between Hamas and the IDF. It's a false dichotomy, and both have been charged for crimes against humanity by the International Criminal Court. If the left, especially those who are educated, those in the humanities, are supporting organizations like Hamas in the Middle East to an unprecedented degree, we will eventually have a Hamas equivalent here. In fact, we may already have it. Here's what BLM had to say about the murder of Irina Zarutska. And guess what? These Hamas sympathizing faculty members and students aren't going to go to Palestine and fight the Israelis. No, they'll stay here and talk about white and male privilege, the trans-genocide conspiracy theory, and encourage their supporters to arm up and hunt down baby Hitlers. You.
I'm sick and tired of it. Left-wingers, liberals, you need to be fucking showing your opponent's guts on there, okay? You need to be gutting them. You need to be shanking these motherfuckers and letting their intestines just ride on stage.
And when they actually do get to murder you, they will refuse to honor you like the Democrats inside the House of Representatives. And when I woke up today, I also learned that many people inside the EU's parliament have also refused to observe a minute of silence for Charlie Kirk, which is very much consistent with Europe being way to the left of the United States. By the way, the second greatest ally, Ukraine, is also celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. In this post, for instance, they're asking when is Trump going to be next. Now, I know he wanted to cut US aid to Ukraine and said also a lot of stuff that many Ukrainians would get offended by, but this is clearly overstepping all moral boundaries, especially considering how Ukraine's continued survival directly depends on US aid. There's a larger compilation of that on my Telegram channel if you're interested, but you get the gist. The only people who are happy about what happened are those on the global left. In contrast, everyone on the right is sad. Every groyper and hardline nationalist online is mourning Charlie Kirk, thereby setting a clear line of demarcation. If you think that what happened to Charlie is awesome, or, it's worth mocking, or he got what he deserved, you're an enemy. And if you think that people shouldn't be killed for trying to promote civil dialogue and debate people for opposing views, you're a friend. It's that easy. We don't even care what politics you manifest. Just basic human decency. And the funny thing is, many on the left are actually offended that we're offended. They're not concerned with what happened, rather they are concerned that we won't just sit through it, that we will actually unite and do something about it.
These conservatives really think they're a targeted group. I mean, that's a big part of their worldview, right? Permanent perceived victimhood.
One of such examples is this YouTuber, What, Why, How, who made a series of claims regarding me.
Again, Ubersoy doesn't like Charlie Kirk. He's not actually doing anything good. He's not solving a murder. He's directing a hate mob at people who have nothing to do with this thing. The far-right people don't even like Charlie Kirk, but Ubersoy is using a murder to excuse what he wanted to do anyways, which is harass, intimidate, and cause harm to people he hates in a country he has nothing to do with. And honestly, these people don't actually care about anyone dying. In fact, they want more people to die to advance their political agenda.
Now, I'm honestly surprised, as I don't remember advocating for any of that, and I also offered him the opportunity to debate me, to discuss the accusations as well as who is really to blame for this and why we are justified in being a little bit unhappy. But there's no response so far, and I understand that it's much easier to slander me behind the screen rather than to directly engage me. So far, my tweets have been the opposite of what this guy accuses me of being. I didn't call for civil war nor violence against any group following the attack. On the contrary, I pushed back on some of the radical claims on the far right. And by the way, I also managed to get pushback for bringing attention to a person who wrote the following songs: Death to American Scum, Charlie Kirk dead at 31, and Charlie Kirk's death isn't enough for me. By the way, all of these songs were written before the murder, and of course, many of the left would think that there's nothing wrong with these songs. That's just free speech. Aren't you like a free speech absolutist? No. The person who wrote these songs is part of this toxic climate that encourages death and violence. They are part of the problem, and if somebody wants to pretend that it isn't there, or that it's not widespread enough, or we're just overreacting, and we should all just calm down and avoid blaming the left, pretending as if nothing really happened and calls for violence shouldn't be prosecuted in some form, then they are greatly mistaken, and we have the statistics to prove that these attitudes are widespread enough to cause concern, especially considering that many on the left are acting like they've won by physically destroying one of their big opponents. To which I'll say that they're also greatly mistaken. Not only did more moderate members of their coalition feel utterly disgusted by their behavior, but the moderate right is also on its way out. There were two central voices for the younger right-wing generation who shared overlapping audiences, Nick Fuentes and Charlie Kirk. Since Charlie Kirk has unfortunately passed away, you'll get Nick Fuentes, who will monopolize the remainder of Charlie's audience, and he will move the party forward to the right. Therefore, if the goal of that assassination was to minimize radical elements on the right and to increase the influence of the left, congratulations, the complete opposite results have been reached. And finally, I'd like to say that I do not encourage violence against the left. On the contrary, we should instead make coalitions with more moderate voices on the left to reach common ends on what Trump has failed to deliver. And we must also pressure Trump to use his executive power to prosecute influencers calling for the death of their political opponents. Since influencers are the main culprit for this increasing radicalization, you have to target them specifically, and there should be some consequences for saying that certain people should be murdered due to a contentious political disagreement you have with them. And it doesn't matter which side does it, although most of it definitely comes from one side, this toxic culture has to end. That's all I had to say. Thanks for watching.